1337.
You know, for the first time in 10 weeks, I don't have anything, toony to say, for the audience. I usually just start off with some kind of like funny tune and da 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 da. For now, I'm just blanking now.
No old like band quotes. No.
Maybe it's like vacation or something for me, or maybe I don't know. I just think I'm just blanking out. Excuse me. This is Mouse, Radio 1337 on urbannightsradio.com, the sound of artists. And right here we are joined by the illustrious team of summer people down here in Southern California. And to my right is the most popular audio person to ever grace the Radio 1337 show of all, and that's Tengu.
Man, it really is summer for you right now, bro.
Yeah, you know what? I've been totally out of it. Like, I watched a lot of shows. I mean, I watched some movies. I don't know. I've just been relaxing. You know what I mean? To my left is returning for another week is Raina. Say hi, Raina.
Hi.
Hi.
It's Raina.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Do you always laugh when you talk?
Yes.
Laugh.
It's my personality.
Is it just because you're a girl?
Yes. It could be.
Last weekend, I saw Man of Steel. Have you guys seen Man of Steel yet?
No, how
Haven't
is
seen
that?
it yet.
Man of Steel is actually not a bad movie. It's probably the most realistic portrayal of a Superman. I would say realistic as far as, like, he's not really battling anything mental because, he's Superman. You need to give him a formidable foe that can, formidably kick his ass. You know what I mean? And it comes in the form of General Zod, which was a big enemy in Superman 2, I believe, right?
Yeah.
That was the second one, right?
Superman 2. Kneel before Zod.
Kneel before Zod. Did you see that Adult Swim mock of Zod?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's General Zod, and he's doing an exercise video. He's all like, squats before Zod. Bend your knees before Zod.
Okay, that's funny. I want to see that.
You got to see it.
I'm going
It's
to have
one
to
of
look
those,
that up afterward.
one of those cool things. But we're here at Radio 1337, the show, urbannightsradio.com. The sound of artists. And, I got to say it every single time. I just got to try and put a ring to it,
Pizzazz it a little.
Pizzazz it, bedazzle it. Yes,
Bedazzle.
that's what I
Okay.
should do, right? Just put the little bling bling on the .com. Anyway, okay, so we're starting off the show with the news. All right, so remember we talked about Ouya, right? One of these things that I talk about is that a console is all about the launch. And I've talked about this for several episodes where we said, well, there's the Xbox, One, and then there's the PlayStation 4. And, you guys asked my opinion on it, and I thought, well, it's all about the launch. Anything can happen between now and the launch. And so Ouya, the Android-based game console, has just released. Right? You guys know that, right? And because they've just released, the funny part is that the people that backed it in the Kickstarter haven't got their Ouya, but yet it's already out released. Isn't that kind of odd?
Really? No.
Yeah, it's just according to Kotaku. See this. Let me read this. Backers had already sensed trouble getting their Ouya before launch, but with the console now available to the public, funders still waiting on theirs, Ouya was compelled to address the matter in backers-only message earlier today. There's a lot of people that are pissed off. Some 45,000 non-developer backers contributed between $95 and $225 to receive an Ouya when the project sought funding about a year ago. Ouya received $8.5 million in funding from 63,416 backers. That's a lot of people.
That is. Yeah.
I mean, you would at least, if you were going to, release a console, you would at least, give the backers theirs first before you release to the public. And I would even push the release later on just to make sure that, hey, Anyway, so speaking of launches, did you know that the Xbox Xbox One. Sorry, I keep saying 360, but I gotta get used to that nomenclature of the Xbox One, right? Did you know that the Xbox One won't come with a headset?
Why not?
One, you know what I mean? Like all the Xboxes come with the headset, right?
There's always at least
but
one.
Microsoft wants you to use the Kinect.
Oh. They're going that route?
Well, you know what? For me, I hardly used the headset, but even when I did, the headset was crappy. I never used the headset.
I mean, I would assume, don't most people just go out and get, another, more pro gaming headset if they're really going to go hardcore?
Yeah,
with it?
I got myself a Turtle Beach. I just, went, straight to quality. I didn't, And it comes with a really, really nice long cord so that I can, play in my sleep or whatever. But, yeah, apparently Microsoft wants you to use the Kinect. And so to calm upset users, Microsoft issued a statement to Ars Technica on why using the Kinect is a better option. Let me quote from them. Xbox One does not include a pack-in headset accessory. Each Xbox One includes a new Kinect sensor with a highly sensitive multi-array microphones designed to enable voice inputs and chat as a system-level capability, both in-game and with Skype and other experiences. For gamers who prefer a headset, we have a variety of offerings that you can find on the Xbox Wire. Voice in. Okay, so that's the quote from them, right? I kind of have problems with my Xbox right now. I have a Kinect, and I was watching Star Trek Next Generation yesterday, and every once in a while it just pauses or it starts rewinding. I don't understand why. It doesn't say nobody on Star Trek Generation says Xbox and then something, right? Some command, but for some reason it's spewing out commands and the Xbox is listening to it. I don't know why. It's stupid. Apparently, the new Xbox One allows for it to filter through anything that's coming out of the television and actually hearing you. Hopefully that will be better this time around, but I don't know.
I wonder if it'll do it in kind of a way like how noise-canceling headphones work. They have the little microphone on the inside that records the sounds that you're hearing from outside, the ambient noise and whatever, and then it does a phase shift of it, and that's what causes noise cancellation.
I think part of it has to do with the fact that it's routed through the Xbox.
Yeah, so I would assume it's taking
going to
what's
filter
routed
those
through,
out,
and then it's going to record whatever phase shift that. So only your voice that's coming in, because it's not going to hear your voice through the Xbox. So
I think it's kind of sort of a reverse kind of noise canceling, where it only cancels out a certain type of noise. Yeah. I don't know. Speaking of Xbox 360, do you know that Minecraft? Here. Okay, let's kind of divert a little bit, right?
Or one?
Huh?
Xbox One or?
Xbox, no, 360. We're talking about 360,
360?
the one that sits on my my counter right now.
Oh.
Xbox 360, right? When I went to San Francisco, right, I saw my nephew, right, and the first thing he says, a little 6-7-year-old punk, right? I love him. He's my nephew, right? The first thing he tells me, he doesn't say anything else. He says, "Buy me Xbox, buy me Xbox, buy me Xbox, buy me Xbox," and he just keeps repeating it for 5 minutes. And I'm like, "Dude, Lucas, aren't you gonna say hi to me?" And he
That's his way of saying hi.
Yeah, apparently he wants Xbox because he wants to play Minecraft, and apparently he's doing Minecraft on his mother's phone, right? My sister-in-law, right? Sister-in-law. So,
good job remembering that, bro.
Yeah,
Familial ties.
Yeah, whatever. So he is, doing his Minecraft on, my sister-in-law's, iPhone, and he's just totally wild into Minecraft. So, but Minecraft, here's the news actually about it, is that they actually passed 7 million units on Xbox 360. That's not including the ones that you bought from like PC or any other outlet that you may have gotten Minecraft from, or iPhone or Android or any of those things. Just the Xbox 360 Minecraft passed 7 million.
And wasn't it like, because we were talking about the Minecraft Pocket Edition a few episodes ago, that was like 3 point something million also?
Yeah, so Mojang, the studio handling the PC version, announced just a couple days ago that they passed the 11 million. That's on PC. So it's 11 million plus 7 million on Minecraft plus 3 million. That's a lot of millions.
That's a lot of millions.
That's like if they sold Minecraft at like $1 each, that right there is way more than enough, right? Like you can totally, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's just crazy. I don't know if I reported it here, but the owner of the company, Mark Person, I guess, he got a bonus check from Mojang for like $3.1 million or something like that. He went and just divided it among all of his employees. He just gave it to them because they deserve it. I mean, wow. Can you believe that? I mean, the amount of difference between like the head corporation and the next person down is really huge in this country. But for someone like that guy who lives, I think, in Denmark, he's just, I'm gonna give it to people that deserve it, the people that made it.
And how much was it?
I think it was like 3.1 million, which came out to like $200,000 each person. It was like a lot of money.
Man.
Jeez.
Talk about a cool like boss, right?
Talk about the companies that you want to work for in 2014.
Most likely they have like a set, group of people. But man, just to have that kind of company, I would totally be like, yeah, I'm riding high.
It is always good press though, like when you hear stuff like that, because I mean, you think of all the negative press that you hear for companies like EA and stuff like that, and then you get more or less like smaller / indie studios or something, when they get something really good that happens for them, they get like 1 or 2 like good games that are really putting them in the spotlight, and then something really nice like that. I mean, that's just good like press all around.
It's an example of how game companies really should be, because it's never one person. It's a team effort.
Yeah.
It's a team effort. It's not just like the person on top. Yeah, he leads the backing, but I mean, he leads the team, but like all the other people put in like 60, 70, 80, 100 hours per week, and, they spend their lives, and, those people deserve it, Anyway, we're going to take a little break. Bye-bye. Mouse from Radio 1337, and you're listening to Urban Nights Radio, the sound of artists. Back, Radio 1337, the show on UrbanNightsRadio.com, the sound of artists. And we're still doing the news because, that's my show and I can do whatever the hell I want. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we're still doing the news because I got some news bits for all y'all. Yeah.
You tell them.
Yeah. We're going to be a Southern show in just a little bit. Yep, that's right. When I was just like, taking up my tobacco and yeah.
My mother's my sister.
My family tree's a stick. All right.
Say that in a Smurfin
speaking
way.
of, huh?
Say that in a Smurfin way.
I was Smurfing my sister. Oh boy, man, we have lots of fun here. Okay, remember when we talked about Double Fine and we talked about Massive Chalice? We talked about that whole.
What's Massive Chalice?
Massive Chalice is the thing between my legs. I'm kidding. No, I'm
Wait,
totally
a
kidding.
shallot?
No,
Dude,
Massive
you just
shallot.
completely.
actually, it's
I'm gonna let the internet have that.
it's the massive tuna can. I'm kidding. No, I'm totally. It's I talked about Massive Chalice.
Dude, you should just stop talking.
Shh, we're talking about the news, okay? I was just diverting a little bit.
Well, we just found out the most important news. Mouse has a massive chalice full of tuna in between his legs.
So Massive Chalice was that Kickstarter title that Double Fine was crowdfunding, right? You know, Double Fine had that humble bundle that had a bunch of games, and then they had this new game that they were trying to fund called Massive Chalice. Well, it raised over $1.2 million. So they were hoping to raise $725,000, but they ended up going way over their goal and making $1.2 million instead. So it looks like this thing's going to actually happen. They had no gameplay. They had this one really weird video about them trying to, convince, people that this game designer is worth, making a game. And that's it. No gameplay, nothing. Maybe a couple of arts, and that's about it. But they did it. It's one of the things where, crowdfunding was successful.
So now, one thing I've always been curious on, like especially with Kickstarter, when it comes to the budgets for games, since you've worked on a number of different ones, like obviously you've worked with varying budgets
Yes.
of like what to do from, either it being like AAA to, as large a scale as what World of Warcraft was, or anything that's just your basic, like, small scale, like, 6-man team of developers. Like, how do the budgets usually work? Like, where does the majority of that get funded into, and what are you looking at, like, realistically, what is, like, a good cutoff of a budget?
That's
for
actually a good question. And I'll be the first to tell you that you can't really put dollar amount on a good game. But knowing that, you can actually determine how much time you need per person, right? And how much you need to fund someone for a certain amount of time.
So like a contractor.
Kind
position.
of a contractor, right? To support them for that amount of time. And again, games need to be, baked. What I call baked, which means that they need to just stay in development for, until they're done. And the problem with a lot of games is that they're not in the oven long enough, like quote unquote, right? They're not in the veritable oven long enough, and so they come out kind of stale. And there's like a ton of games. I know a lot of people out there can totally relate with me. They've picked up games and they feel like that when they play it, it just seems incomplete. It's because it's not that the developers wanted to make a bad game, because no developer wants to come in and start and make a bad game. They all come in with hopes of making good games, but they just are restricted with time, usually budget and money or whatever. With something like this, they probably had a cap of how long they could use to make it. And with a company like Double Fine, they've made enough games to kind of understand the timeline and give kind of an approximation of how long it takes for a certain game to be developed. Double Fine they've made all kinds of games. They've made like big games such as like Brutal Legend, and they've made small games like Stacking. It's like an Xbox Live game. Mm-hmm. So for something like this, they can kind of determine how much budget they would need for a game. Now, am I saying that that's going to be the exact amount that they need? No. All games have their problems and all games have their issues. And some issues you need to stay up all night, 2 nights, 3 nights to figure out. But that just comes with the territory. So I think they have a pretty good idea of what they're gonna what they're gonna use, and it's good that they went over. Anyway, so speaking of games out there, you know Naughty Dog, right? Naughty Dog.
Of course.
Naughty Dog is a game company that's based in Santa Monica, California, and has done incredible games over the years. Most notably, that game. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot that name.
Crash Bandicoot.
Most notably, Crash
Yes,
Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot, most notably.
So they did a new game called The Last of Us, which just came out in critical reviews. Amazing game. But did you know that there are actually stuff, like there are things in game that are these veritable Easter eggs, right? Things that you see in game. But this one is kind of funny because they actually put phone sex numbers in the game, not knowing that people would actually call them.
Wait, like legitimate sex lines?
Apparently, right? So they included sex chat line numbers at a certain point. Let's see, at a certain point in the games, the main character, Joel, encounters a bulletin board with 2 phone numbers for a pest control service, right? A Kotaku reader thought it would be funny to dial them, and both were actually sex chat lines.
That is great. That is great.
Right? That's why in shows that they have phone numbers that start with 555 because they don't want anybody to that's a false number, obviously, right?
Yeah.
It's just hilarious.
It's
So
like, that's what they get though, like putting in, like if they just like randomly generated it, or if someone kind of snuck that in as like a joke and didn't think anyone would catch it.
I think they did it not knowing that it was a phone sex line. I think they just randomly put numbers together. Well, I don't know if they randomly put numbers together.
Because you got to think, like, people nowadays, they expect there to be so much more hidden, expanded content. Like, they will scour games and find whatever little piece they can, and then they'll try and find more about it. If you give them a phone number, they'll expect that you went and you bought that phone number, and they're going to call it, and they're going to hear like a message from one of the characters, or they're going to hear like an extra like outside game to play or something like that. Like,
okay, and I see your point. I totally see your point because there's a lot of like previews that come out, in one frame on the bottom of the screen, like faded out, and someone goes to their website and it leads to some other thing.
Someone else could be monitoring this, right?
Someone else could be monitoring, but yeah.
Think about I Love Bees. Like, that was like the whole thing for Halo 2, and yet it was like, would you have expected that? Like, just seeing some random thing like, oh, I love bees, and it's like all of a sudden you're like getting this whole like, lead up viral marketing style thing for Halo.
Was that intentional?
It was intentional. Like, it had been made up by the developers. And like, I don't remember the full story on it. I just know that it was like over the course of like months, there was like phone calls going out to specific payphones at specific times and other stuff like that. Like, it was a huge thing, and it's really cool. Like, I think stuff like that is like interesting, and just like if you can come up with something really compelling that gets everyone involved and builds up for the game, then that's awesome. So it's like slipping something in and not really thinking too much about it is kind of a disservice to your game, because you could do so much more with it, because people will try and find it, and when they do find it, they're going to want more from you.
People kind of look a little too far into the game. So creative director Neil Druckmann told Kotaku that, quote, it was an artist's mistake. What happened was they put some phone numbers in the game, and then they thought they could just change the area code to 555, then it's invalid because that's what they do in movies. But I guess it doesn't work when you have a 1-800 in front of it. We're now working to take it out. It was an honest mistake. This is not something that's completely like big and it's going to totally, put Naughty Dog under, but it's still kind of funny that they would actually do something like that, It's almost like the hot coffee mod, except you don't have to, hack the stupid game in order to get to the hot coffee mod.
Like, hey, I'll still work for them. Naughty Dog, you need a sound designer, anything like that. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, stop whoring yourself out, man. So, did you know there is actually another con going on at the same time as San Diego Comic-Con in San Diego? Did you know that?
Hmm.
Do you know that? Do you know that?
No.
I do not.
No, there is. It's called GamerCon. And GamerCon is one of those weird, names of conventions where the E is like replaced with a 3. So it's Game 3 or Con. But it's actually GamerCon, using kind of like lead speak or whatever. We don't use that stuff here, do we?
Yeah.
No.
At least not as lead as
No, like
GamerCon
Radio
is doing.
1337 or anything like that, right? No, we don't do that kind of stuff. So GamerCon is going from July 18th to the 21st, 2013. And if you are not a comic person, if you are not a pop culture person, if you are not a sci-fi or movie kind of person, you can go to GamerCon, which is over off of 10th Street in the 10th Street Avenue Theater in San Diego, California, from the 18th to the 21st, the same weekend as San Diego Comic-Con. And this is weird, right? This says 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. Is that 2 p.m. of the 18th and it ends on 2 a.m. of the 21st? Or is it 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. every day? That's what it says.
Do they not have a schedule up?
No, these give me the hours from the website. That's GamerCon. That's GAM3RCON.com. And it says July 18th to the 21st, 2013, 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. And that's weird. Like, that's kind of, that's kind of late for a convention to start.
Well, I guess they're taking into account the demographic.
I suppose, right? Apparently, according to the website, it's become the premier gaming convention in San Diego, bringing gamers and pop culture fans together to celebrate all things gaming. GamerCon features 4 floors of gaming entertainment, including a video game arena, tabletop gaming lounge, gaming industry panels, and live theater, gaming-themed artwork, and rooftop parties. So whether you're a professional level 6 gamer or you've never picked up dice, GamerCon is a safe and supportive place for news, pros, creative, and professional alike. So it's not... I'm actually going to be going to GamerCon. I'm going to check it out. They're actually in their 3rd year, and this is one of those things where it's kind of like a risk for me because I've never been to GamerCon, and I've just heard about it. And I'm going to go check it out, and they gave me a press pass, so we're going to go. Anyway, so if you guys are interested from San Francisco or in the Bay Area or anywhere around the world, if you are near or around San Diego from the 18th to the 21st, 2013, you should check out GamerCon, and you should go check out the website, which I said earlier, but it's, I'll say it again, GAM3RCON.com. All right? Anyway. That's the news. That's a lot of news.
That was a lot of news.
We got a lot of stuff going on. And
we've got like half the show is news.
Oh, shizness. We'll have a break right now.
Hey, this is Tengu from Radio 1337, and you are listening to Urban Nights Radio, the sound of artists. If you want to listen to the latest in dating advice, you want to listen to Love from Venus with Lola and Coco. And those two girls, I must say, are very cool. And
I totally would Smurf Lola.
I knew it.
What? Just saying.
So predictable.
You're predictable.
Just
Look.
like a man.
Look at her.
I wasn't going to say
Look at
that.
her. She's cute. Here. You think she's cute? Right there. She's cute, isn't she? Mouse's rant, because I am mad about stuff, right?
Like.
What I'm talking about is San Diego Comic-Con, right? I've been to San Diego Comic-Con. Have you been to San Diego Comic-Con, guys?
never
No.
been.
No, you guys never been, because you guys are not true geeks. You guys are not true geeks if you haven't been to San Diego Comic-Con. But I agree. I understand if you haven't been to San Diego Comic-Con, because it is one of the biggest conventions in the world. I would say it's probably, of the world, it's probably like 10th or so. I saw a big scale of which ones were the biggest. Even Anime Expo was kind of down there, like 6 or 7 or something like that. One of the bigger ones was like E3. Was like huge, big. So San Diego Comic-Con started in 1970. It was basically a group of geeks just kind of getting together, right? And it was at a hotel, and over the years, they've just kind of stayed stagnant for a while. And then all of a sudden, kind of near the 90s, it started to really jump in popularity. Probably because they started introducing like movies and television shows. And I think what it started to happen was that they started having really good programming on like places like Sci-Fi and cult sci-fi. People started going to San Diego Comic-Con. And then San Diego started really upping their promotion of San Diego Comic-Con, and they moved into the San Diego Convention Center. Now the San Diego Convention Center can only hold so much, and every year it started getting more popular and more popular. And they literally, from the 90s, like the late 90s into the 2000s, they started expanding their convention center every year to account for people going to San Diego Comic-Con.
Wow.
Now, it has gotten so big that they stopped expanding the convention center just because it's just way too big, right? It's really, really big. And it's become this place where everybody, a lot of people want to go. And now, because they have a limited space, the tickets have been relegated to online. And now people have to wait in line, quote unquote, online, and they have to, basically just tap on their mouse to try and get, a slot into, buy their tickets. And tickets usually sell out within hours.
Yeah, and don't they sell them like even a couple months early too?
They try to. They release this certain amount, because at one time you could go to the door and buy a ticket at the door and go in and be cool. But now you can't anymore. You cannot, because all the tickets are already sold out. They will sell out of like the 4-day passes, or the 4-day passes in like hours, an hour if that, right? And then they'll release batches of like these tickets online. And man, people just snag them up, man. And I don't know. I think Hollywood is kind of coming into San Diego Comic-Con, and it's making the people that were originally there in the first place, it like just lessens the people that were there in the first place. Like the last time I went to San Diego Comic-Con, I met Felicia Day. That was kind of cool. But the whole comic area was starting to be like not as lively as it used to be. Everyone was already over at the places where like Fox and like all the big companies that can pour money into their promotions and all their like free stuff that they're giving out. Like they're just giving away a lot of free shit, and everybody's over there. Whereas the comic, the whole reason why they were there they're just like dwindling away. It's just sad, you know. Anyway, I don't like that. It just pisses me off. And you know what? I would want to get into something. That's why I'm kind of hoping for like something like a GamerCon, because it's small. It's like you get to develop a little bit of community and get to talk to people that actually like, you know, love this stuff. They do it for a living, or they do it because they love it, and they play games all day, and they have such a passion for it. You know, nowadays, San Diego Comic-Con is for people that are geeks that just like, you know, have a lot of time to spare and don't mind waiting in line for like hours. Did you know that when I was there last, I had to wait in line. It was for Battlestar Galactica, right? And the line had started. This was a long time ago, right? The line had started in the morning. And what people would do is they would, for the people that had never been to San Diego Comic-Con or ever been to, you know, large, extremely large conventions, there are these breakout rooms, right? And they would have these panels of people that would talk about, you know, their thing, usually promotions, and they'll usually show something really cool, like a really cool, like, you know, preview for whatever. And to wait in line for that, they would have to be, say, for example, like the Battlestar Galactica panel was like at 2 p.m., right? There would be other panels before then, and people would stay in line, and they would either try and get in on the panel at 10 a.m., right, just to wait all day for the 2 p.m. panel. People will wait all day. And people, what they'll do is they'll wait in this huge line, and as the panels are letting go, some people will leave, but then this line would go in. So you could be waiting all day in line and not get into the panel that you want.
Wow.
It's ridiculous. Like completely ridiculous. And I don't like that. It makes, it just completely ruins the experience. It's almost like Disneyland, right?
Yeah.
It's like if there were only like fast passes for like some of these like, you know, panels, that would be awesome. But then again, everybody and their brother wants to like watch, you know, see, you know, who the next Doctor Who is going to be, or what the next preview, or who the next companion is going to be. And they'll wait in line 4 or 5 days for just to be in this line. You know what I mean? Wow. And it's sad. People don't really understand how much, you know, craziness happens outside of just the exhibit hall, you know? And then now what they're doing in the exhibit hall is they're trying to do things where, well, if you want this free thing, you got to do A, B, C, and D, just like they do in E3, but that's a whole different, you know, thing. And this is public. And so all these people are just like, not only is it like crowded, it's like stinky, and like it's all gamer and like comic book and nerdy stink, and, you know, like...
The unwashed
on a side note, I don't. Nothing is as stinky. I remember going to BlizzCon. It was like the second year of BlizzCon, and I was working for Blizzard, right? And I went into the panel, and there was a panel of like, you know, people that, you know, all my friends up there, and I wanted to see, you know, what was going on, and I wanted to say hi to them, right? So I go up there, second floor of the Anaheim Convention Center, right? And so I went up there with my friend. And I walked 2 feet in, and it was just this wave of stink, like BO, sweat, and shame, and loneliness, and like, you know, hours of gameplay just wafting into my nose, you know, liberally, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't stand it. I just was like, I have deodorant, please use some, right? And I had to walk out. It was so sad. And then they have that at San Diego Convention Center, San Diego Comic-Con. Oh man,
they have it at so many places like that. Like, it really makes you wonder. Like,
these people? BlizzCon was the worst, by far the worst.
Well, I mean, I've run into it like at a bunch of conventions. Like I've gone to Anime Expo, at AM2. Obviously various concerts. I mean, yeah, that's like kind of here and there, but still, like, do the people going there not smell the same thing that people like you and me smell? Like, have they become desensitized to it because that is just their culture and they expect it? You
See,
know?
this is what's sad about it, is because it's my culture. It's my It's my gaming culture. This one I helped create.
But you're kind of on the outside looking in because you, just like myself and Reina, are affected by the smell.
Here's the funny thing, right? The cleanest smell I've ever had, right, was in a hentai theater at Anime Expo. Yeah, you'd think, right? You would think.
I don't know, because I would expect, the smell of bleach to permeate over anything else.
That's pretty gross, dude. That's pretty gross. That's a weird,
You have to keep it clean.
weird, like
You would
visual,
have to
mental.
keep it clean.
Ew, ew, ew. All right.
Just imagine if they did one of those Disney interactive theater things, but with a
No,
hentai
no,
theater.
no. Okay. With that, we're going on a break because Mouse's rant is over. Okay. We're going on a break right now, and then we're going to talk about whatever the hell you want to talk about, and then we're going to end the show. Okay. Break.
You're locked in to Radio 1337 here on Urban Nights Radio, the 50 Shades of Artists.
We're coming back from break, Radio 1337, and this is what we're doing. Is we're going to introduce a new segment. I don't know what we're going to call it. It's going to be called Tengu Sound-ish Show of Awesomeness.
It works for me.
Okay,
we'll
yeah.
figure something out.
All right, cool. So go for it.
So what I'm going to talk about is Foley. Now, Foley is a audio art. It's part of the sound design process that is very big and very important in both movies and video games, and essentially anything where you need to have audio. The difference between Foley and other sorts of sound design that you might be used to, a lot of times in the industry, we have like a large collection of sound effects. I'm sure you've heard like the Wilhelm scream or other little sounds that will be recycled and reused. It comes from a sound effects library. Foley is the process of recording those sounds to video. So you're doing it live, usually in what's called a Foley pit, where you'll have like a ton of just all sorts of random items, like anything you could think of, just like, as if you were in like a landfill, but it doesn't smell like crap.
Okay, so wait. If you were to record something and then put it onto, video in post-production, that's not considered Foley, even if you recorded it, like before you put it on?
Not necessarily, but yes, for the most part it is. Sometimes that's also just recording the sound effects. Usually Foley is done like right to screen, like doing it like, as you're watching it. But it does still count, like calling it Foley and you just recording a bunch of footsteps or other like, outside ambiances. It's just kind of like, it blends, like there's a very large gray line between everything. So now, to get this into the actual game portion of it, Arkham City had a very interesting article that had come out back when the game was still fresh off the shelves, and it was going over how they did a lot of the sound design on there. One of the easiest and most like go-to types of examples for Foley is if you hear a bone breaking. More often than not, that is actually a piece of celery that's being snapped and crunched and whatever else like is happening to the bone. One of the other things that I found like really interesting when it came to it, they were showing in this article like all the different stuff they did, like hitting against various objects. Batman's cape obviously just being more like a long billowy sheet. I think they used also like a big leather jacket and some other stuff like really give it that thickness and like weight.
See, this is what I think is interesting is that Foley, doesn't it take some incredible timing if you're doing it live?
It does.
To like some, live to video, right? That means that you would have to have all your, elements or whatever, all the things that make noise, like literally right there, like in front of you, and you would have to run, I guess, to different, devices in order for you to create the sound. I mean, do they do it so that they do one thing at a time and then they keep recording over it as in tracks? Or do they actually do all the Foley like at once where they're doing, walking on the, ground, the gravel, and then, doing all kinds of other things that are happening at the same time? Are they doing it all at the same time, or can they do it in tracks?
They can actually do it both ways. There's a really interesting video on YouTube that shows an entire chase and fight scene where it's just these two guys doing the entire Foley. So they have like, they're both, one is one guy, one is the other in that scene. And they're doing the running, they're doing the footsteps, they're making all the noises of like, when they're fighting, hitting each other. They have like random like objects that are being dropped, and all this is completely around them within like an 8-foot radius, and they have microphones on them. But other ways that it can be done, ways that I've done it, is doing multiple recording passes where you have a single scene and you're focused on one or two elements of the scene.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking about.
It's easier to do that now in the digital age. Before, when you were doing it on like tape and other stuff, the less tape you're going to use, the better. So they would probably practice out the scene multiple times and then just handle it all in one shot, and it'd be a lot easier for them to do it in that way.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I've never. I mean, it's one of those things where if you've seen it on television, them actually do it. It's one of those things that you absolutely need a talent for it, because it's not just executing. I'm sure it's, looking for sounds and finding whatever household, items can create that sound, or whatever you can make, in a wood shop or workshop or something like that, and to create a sound that's exactly, or gives the illusion, of a certain thing. And then you would have to watch a video multiple times to find out where the timing is and then execute that. That's got to be a level of talent that's just beyond, me. Like, that's pretty crazy.
One of the things, going back to how you said, like, making it sound like something else, the punches that were done, like when Batman fights Mr. Freeze, and you remember how like he's punching against his suit, and there's like, the big thick glass in the way and all of that. That sound was achieved by taking a rollerblade, putting it inside of a motorcycle helmet, and then hitting that with a hammer.
What?
So you've got it set like the rollerblade, like the wheels are against where your chin would be on the helmet. And then he's taking the hammer and just kind of hitting into like the middle like area. So he's like hitting a little bit of the helmet and a little bit of the rollerblade at the same time. And the rustling, jostling sound of that is being recorded and then just manipulated into the different sound effects. How do you get
that kind of? How do you find those sounds? That's just that's just amazing.
They took a lot of care in the gunshots that were done, because how you had the soldiers who were like always on you, like you'd see like little sniper lines, and all of a sudden you're being like shot at from like however many rooftops over. They got to use the entire Warner Brothers lot and had 24 different channels all mic'd up from different distances, and they're recording the gunshots so that they're getting all sorts of city ambience and different things, like where the sound waves are bouncing off this wall or bouncing off however many before it finally reaches the microphone. They really wanted to make it feel very immersive, very in-depth when it's coming to, like, you're being shot at from 3 buildings away or you're being shot at, like, right next to you. You're going to hear the difference in that sound.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. That's on level. What do you think?
Well, with me, I'm like the type who gets squirmish with any type of noise, especially like blood, anything that has to deal with breaking bones. I'm the person who would like huddle over someone and, kind of peek in with 2 fingers.
Nowadays, they're really pushing towards, like, say, stuff like Walking Dead. They're actually using, like, animal guts, in, like, bodies, quote bodies, and then using the sounds that come from that. I don't know. It just there's a lot of crossover, and whether or not you want to dedicate part of your budget to Foley or sound engineering or actual sound from location, there's a bunch of different ways to incorporate sound into whatever production that you're planning. So thanks a lot, man. That was pretty informative, and I learned a lot of stuff. So anyway, so let's go into our final segment, and our final segment is going to be our board game segment. And you know what? I'm not going to do it this time.
Oh, really?
You know what? I'm just going to be like, I'm sick of it already. No, I'm not really sick of it. What I was talking to Reina and Tengu, like, over the days, and apparently Reina is really big into card games, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because Reina doesn't talk very much, and so I just to give her a chance to kind of embellish her voice a little bit, I'm gonna let her do a segment on games on a game that she has been playing that you may not find typically in your store. Go ahead, and this is gonna be our board game segment.
Well, let me introduce you to the Flash Duel. This one, this is made by game designer David Serlin. He is also the publisher, Serlin Games. This was released not too long ago.
Serlin, Sirlin, Serlin Games.
Yes.
And it's a game called Flash Duel.
Flash Duel, yes. And this was released in 2010. So it's not too long ago. He's also released other games too, and they're expansion packs. With the Flash Duel, it's a 2-player game. It's very fast paced. Pretty much tops like 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Really
yeah.
quick? Is that really that quick?
Yes, really quick.
Huh.
And
does it have pretty deep gameplay in it for being so short?
oh yes. Well, to learn the game, there's cards with numbers. It's just to teach you how to use the game before you use the actual characters.
We actually have a copy here in the studio, and I'm busting it out right now.
And then the board game, there's 18 slots. So
It's kind of like a ladder, kind of.
well, think of it like a tug of war.
Oh,
yeah.
Tug
Okay.
of war.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're right. It's not like a ladder. It's like it's 1 through 18, and there's on slot 1 and slot 18 there's a start marker for each of them.
And there's 20 characters in the.
So
in
are
the
you
game.
playing as one character or several characters, or how are you playing as?
You could play as one character, and there's also a boss character. If you wanted to, you could play with two people against a boss character. And there's a simple mode, a full mode, a custom clockwork.
There are Legos in here.
Well,
Do
that
they come with Legos? Or did
No.
you bought the
I bought the.
Oh,
Legos.
okay. Because I thought, Legos would be awesome.
Well, the actual.
I get my Iron Man pull apart figures, and I just anyway. Go on. Sorry.
Well, there's like little pin characters that you could use, but I just bought the Legos because they were more interesting.
You
Oh,
decided
okay.
that Harry Potter looks a lot better than.
Well, the
Is
other
that-
one's
She
Bruce
has two
Lee.
characters.
The other one's Bruce Lee.
It's a white guy with a fro, and he looks like Danny Zuko from like Grease. And then you have this guy that looks kind of like this ripped, Bruce Lee type character.
It is Bruce Lee.
Oh, it is Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
and he's got like
Bruce Lee.
scratch marks all over his body. It's hilarious, just like from what was it, Enter the Dragon or something like that.
Yeah, what gives it away?
It's funny. Sorry guys, if you buy Flash Duel, you won't be able to get these exclusively limited
They do get
Lego
expensive
pieces.
too.
They do?
Yes.
Well, I know that you can buy Lego
Yeah.
Lego characters when they come randomly, but there's actually different seasons of them. Anyway, so more about the game. You said about
the
5
game-
minutes. So
yes.
what happens in the game?
Well, essentially, there could be 1 to 5 player game, and it's a fantasy striker game. Well, when you think of maybe Street Fighter or Tekken,
Oh, okay.
it plays similar to that. But with one hit, you could win.
Oh, you can actually win with one hit.
Yeah, and there's several rounds that you would go through with one hit.
So you can actually have like a punch of death. Just bam.
Yes, there's one that's called the dashing strike. That attack, based on how many spaces you are from your opponent, for say 8 spaces, you would do a dashing strike with 8 spaces based on your card. You would have to have that card. Like for say, if you have a 3 card and a 5 card to do the attack.
That's pretty cool.
And
So what all in all, like you've played this, and I'm sure you played this tons of times because apparently you have, put in Lego figures for some of your characters. So it looks pretty robust, and there's a lot of characters you can play. And for 5 minutes, this doesn't look too bad.
well, the thing about it, it's very compact. You could take it anywhere. You don't even have to carry the little board that it comes with. There's the cards that are made into the.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask about that because I saw the cards in there, and I thought, is this a way to extend the board, or is it more like...
No, it's just to make it more compact.
Oh,
if
so you
you
don't
did
even
not
have to
want
bring the board with
no.
you. Then you, like you just
You
said.
could just bring the cards with the, the board in there, and then just carry it around. I mean, you could even put it in your wallet, but I wouldn't suggest to put it in your wallet if you
Actually
were
care
trying
about
to
Well,
keep it in pristine.
I'm definitely interested in playing this game, and I'll probably end up playing this game after. Well, maybe not because you have to go to work. I may have to borrow it, but anyway. Well, that's great. Well, thank you, Reina, for your review. And out of 10, 0 out of 10, 10 being highest, what would you give this game?
Oh, I'd give it a 10.
Is it really
Yeah.
that good?
Yes,
Like,
and it's fairly cheap too. If you wanted to buy it, it's $35.
how long does it take for it to teach?
Oh, not too long.
Okay.
Yeah, you could even teach your mom, and she'll enjoy it.
You mean my Filipino mom
Yes.
that has the accent? Yeah, my mom's totally like Joe Coy's mom. Anyway, well, thank you very much, Reina, for the board game segment, and that's it for our show. And thank you again, Reina, for coming in on such short notice. Well, maybe
No
it was
worries.
that wasn't like
It's
that
fun
wasn't
to
like
be
short
here.
notice, but it was more like a day in the notice or whatever. Deacon and Vixen are on vacation. They're both kind of like fly away. Deacon had something happen to his shoulder, and he's actually like trying to nurse his shoulder back, and and then Vixen is going on a road trip apparently. So they're out for a while, and we have Reina. And thank you, Reina, for coming into the show.
Thank you for having me.
Because otherwise, it would just be the 2 boring guys who actually work here at the facilities that we use to record in.
So, at the school that shall be not named. So, on behalf
We'll
of
call
Radio,
it the School of Awesomeness.
yeah, well, so on behalf of Radio 1337, this is Mouse talking and leading, and to my right I have
Tengu.
Tengu, and to my left we have Reina. Thank you so much for listening to us, and we hope to hear from you next time. Bye bye.